So I'm going to just go over what we did so far in the recording, right? When it starts recording. Okay, so we've started back recording. We agreed that the functionality that most of our other functions will take is to call the read file function to read the file into the struct. We'll do whatever the core of the function is, and then we will write the information from the file back to the struct. Okay? So we just declared our functions, right? And we added the functions add user, read file, and write file. And the add user function will add or register a user to the club and store their information to a file. And the read file and write file function will be used by every other function. These are functions that, because reading the file and writing the file is something that every function has to do. If you're going to search for a user, you have to read the file. If you're going to edit the user's information, you're going to have to read the user's information first, make your edit, and then write the user's information after. If you're going to delete somebody, you have to know who's there, so you have to read the information and then write the information back to a file. Okay? So we want to have information on everybody read into the structure that we defined up here. Okay? Let me give it a little space. So into the structure that we have defined up here. And of course, as we've added these functions here, we also have to just kind of set up the definition, right? So we have void add user. And we could just leave it as it is there, right? Void add user. We have void read file and void write file. And the first thing that we need to do, I think we could set up the add user first in general. So let's generally set up the add user function, right? So once this function is called, we could change this line here to call add user. Okay, so we change that function here to call add user. And what does add user do? Add user will want to store information into this struct information here. And again, we have to be very mindful of using the list and the keeping track via this list index variable here, right? This list index variable here. So for now, because we will come back and make a change to the add user after we've done the first change with the add user, is that our add user will simply print out printf, right? Please enter the member's name. Okay? Should I name this add user or add member, boy? All right, let me not confuse member, right? Add member. Add or register a member to the club, right? So I'm changing it to add member because I don't want to confuse the words user and member. Okay? And I'll change it down here. So you notice that everywhere that it had to change, it changed, yeah? Right? So please enter the member's first name. Okay? And then enter the member's last name. Where are we saving this information right now? Because this is the first one that we are doing, because this is the first thing that we are doing, we haven't checked to see if any file currently exists inside of our member list, right? I'm really thinking whether or not I should do this first or I should do the read file first. And I want to do the read file first, and I'll show you why. It'll make more sense to do the read file first, right? So for the read file, now I have to have my file pointer, FP, and we can say FP is equal to fopen, and let's just assume that the file is stored in C:\\\/ Valdez underscore C / SBA underscore members dot txt, right? SBA underscore members dot txt. And this is why I want to do this first, right? Because I think that this is pretty cool. What we would do is if the file doesn't exist, we'll ask the user if they want to create the file, right? And if the file does exist, then we'll try and read elements from the file and whatnot. So C:\\/ members.txt, right? So and we want to, of course, try to open the file to read. So open the file to read. We know that if FP is equal to null, what do we want to do? What are we checking? We're checking to see if the file exists. So we check to see if the file exists. If the file doesn't exist, we could print out printf, right? This file does not exist. Do you want to create it? Right, and put Y or N here. And allow the user to enter a Y or N, right? So we could create a char variable here, right? CH, and we could say scanf %C, comma, ampersand CH, with a get char after it. And this will read the user's option, and then we can based on we can say if CH is equal to yes, then let's F close FP, because we closed the old file pointer. We now open FP is equal to fopen the same location that we had here, but instead of opening it as read, we want to open it as write, right? So open the file as write to create it. Open the file as write to, okay? And then you can F close again, FP, close the file from writing, and then you want to reopen the file for reading. So if the file didn't exist but the location is valid, right? Reopen the file to read. Okay? And now we could and of course we could put an else here and say else if they enter anything else but yes, right? So if they said anything else but yes, if the user said anything besides yes to creating the file, right? What do we want to do here? We want to say printf, right? File could not be loaded. Goodbye. All right? file could not be loaded, goodbye. Okay? And so if the user, if the user, right, sorry, we say exit the system here. We have to put a exit 0 underneath here, right? Maybe I get chart to pause the output or something, so, right, so that the user could see. But what is interesting now here is that because, you know, next thing we had an error here where this file path was not valid, right? We might have to change this from an if to a while, because, you know, if it is that we try and this file path, let's say you copy this and you don't have a Valdez_C folder on your computer, then, you know, we can't just assume that it's valid once we do it a second time, right? But we have to make sure that it's valid, right? Let's test this out and see, okay? So when we call the add member function, the first thing that we want to do is to call the read file function, right? Read the file to get the information from the file into a struct. Now at this point, we don't have anything inside of the Valdez_C folder, right? With the name SBA members. But let's run it and see what happens in this case. Okay? Everybody with me so far? Anybody lost? Anybody don't know what we're doing? Anybody feel like you're seeing something that we've never seen before? Was that? No? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, as in you feel like you're lost?
No, sir, I'm lost.
I'm not hearing you clearly. Can you put it in the chat? All right, so I'm looking out in the chat for your feedback with that, right? All right. Now let's run and see if we have any errors so far. Okay, you say you're good. Good. All right. Where's my log? All right, build log. Right, so no errors. We get to run. Right, so let's say, for instance, we click on add a member. They said that the file does not exist. Do we want to create it? Yes. Okay, so that's a win, because as it is right now, the file should have been created inside of there. Yes, it was created. Okay, and what we do know, however, is that if we did have to create the file, it means that we have no members inside of the file, right? It have no members inside of the file. But if it is that if it is, let's say, for instance, I have a mistake here, and let's say I put Valdez underscore and take off the C from here. Okay, but it's not a valid location. I should get the same error. Add a member, the file does not exist. Do you want to create it? Yes. Do you want to create it? Yes. I have a problem. My path is invalid. I can't create it, so I have to click no. File could not be loaded. Goodbye. Isn't this a beautiful thing? Yes? No? Anybody find? Huh?
I'm kind of confused with what just happened.
Well, what happened is that the location of the file is not valid. So it's trying to create the file, but it can't create it. So it keeps on saying the file does not exist, even if when I try to create it. So I have to say no to be able to get out. And once I say no, the program exits. But if it is that my location is valid, right? And the file exists, or the file could be successfully created, right? Like I have the file successfully created inside here. We don't have any code further than just knowing that the file is successfully created. So I should click on one add a member and nothing should happen, and I come back to the menu, which is fine, because it means that it didn't have to do anything that says this file does not exist or whatever. We don't have any further code here. So when I call read file, right? So what happened there was just now I started main called menu showed my menu options. I selected the choice of one, so I called add member. I went to add member. Add member only has the call to read file in it. So I went to read file. It opened the file successfully. They didn't have anything else to do as the file get opened successfully. So it went back to add member. It didn't have anything else to do in add member. So it went back to menu, right? The case statement break there. So it returned 0. It went back to here. It cleared the screen. Because this clause didn't return -1, it returns 0, and it called the menu again, and so the menu got displayed again, and that's where we found ourselves. Yes,
Okay.
no, yeah, because we
Yeah.
don't have we don't have anything saying okay, file successfully loaded, right? But as long as right, so but now we're going to now put in some code that would allow us to read the contents of this file, right? But I just want to do one thing. If it is that I created the file, right? If I now created the file, it would mean ch is equal to yes. So I'm saying if ch is unequal to yes, right? Then I want to read the contents of this file. But for now, I know that the contents, if ch is unequal to yes, right? If this file was not newly created, if this file was not newly created, right? Then I want to read the contents of this file into my struct array. Okay? And then after that, I will fclose fp. But for now, I know that I know that I am doing this for the first time. And the first time I do not have any values read into my struct array. I don't have any values read into my struct array. So I am not going to make the attempt just yet. Okay? I'm not going to make the attempt just yet to read this contents into the file. I'm going to go back to add member and actually try and write a member to the file first. Okay, and then afterwards I will try and read in the members from the file. Okay, because I don't
So,
want to, yeah.
so for a file to save, yeah, it have to be code blocks using. You can't do it on an online compiler because it wouldn't have anywhere to save.
No, it will not have anywhere to save. I don't think that, um, first off, on the online compilers, normally those are Linux-based systems that they're running it off of. So you would have to use Linux type addressing. You would have to know the address that you'll put it on, and I don't know if they will give you permission to save files on an online compiler. So you are still using, what are you using, a Chromebook or like a school laptop or something? So
A Chromebook.
Chromebook. Uh, um, hmm. All right. Well, I might have to get a school machine for you. All right.
Okay, so
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I might have to get a machine for you. Um. because otherwise you would still have to learn how to do it on a, like a Linux machine, and that's not ideal, right? The workaround for that it's possible, but not. You spend plenty of time that you should be coding trying to set it up properly. So let's see. I will talk to admin and see if I can get a machine for you. Okay. So
Okay.
just to go back to this, we will read the contents of the file once the file was not newly created, right? Once the file was not newly created, we want to read the contents of the file. And then, of course, close the file buffer. And we would read the contents of the file into our this same struct variable up here that we create, member list, right? Well, the name of it is just simply list. And of course, we'll be using list index to manipulate where we are in the file. But for now, let's just simply assume that the file is newly created and the first person that we add in here is going to be added inside of here. So we'll be adding the member's first name. And where do we want to add the member's first name? We want to say gets what? Gets list at position I, gets list at position I, and that would not dot first. And that will save the first name of the member, right? And we do the same for the last name, right? So it gets at position I dot last, and it saves the last name of the member. All right. Why is my mouse missing? Okay. All right. So we want to enter the member's date of birth. Day slash month slash yeah. Okay. And I'm not validating the date of birth, but we could write a function that will validate the date of birth at some point in the future. This is just a quick and dirty program that we're writing up. We can't use get to save the date of birth. We have to use scanf, and we're going to put %d slash %d slash %d. And we're saving it as list at position x dot b underscore day, comma, and you have to put your ampersand here, ampersand list at position x dot month, and ampersand list at position x dot birth underscore year, right? So save the date of birth of the member. Hold a second, please. Right. And then we have the positions, right? So you can say, please enter the preferred position of the player. And again, the position is gets, but it's gets at pos 1, right? And we can have a secondary position, right? Please enter the secondary position of the player, gets at dot I at pos 2. So now we have saved this information into the members. we've saved this information into the members, into the struct. But now we want to write this information to the file. So now I could just simply call the function write file. And what this function is supposed to do is this function is supposed to write the file. And each time it will overwrite the file with all of the information inside of there, right? And of course, I want to say, this is not just I, sorry, this is list underscore I. All right, this is list underscore I, not just I. Somebody could have told me I was putting the wrong thing all the time. And where I get X from here? Oh my Lord. My brain just doing what it wants to do, boy. All right, it's list underscore I. That's the index. And as we've written this, we want to say list underscore I plus plus. Okay? And so the write file function, we'll have like an int X. You'll have a file pointer, right? So this is a counter for writing each list element up to list underscore I, right? List underscore I. We have a file pointer, and our file pointer is fp is equal to fopen C colon backslash Valdez underscore C backslash, what's the name of the file? SBA underscore members, SBA underscore members dot txt, and I'm opening the file to write to it. So we want to write the entire contents of the struct to the file. At this point, because we only have one person inside, the contents of the struct is just simply one person. So we could write that. But we still want to put while, or not while, let's say for, because we know exactly how much. For x is equal to 0, semicolon, x is less than list underscore I, semicolon, x plus plus. What do we want to do? We want to write this information to the file line by line. So we use fprintf. And we can say fprintf, fprintf what? Fprintf %s, comma, %s, comma, %d slash %d slash %d, comma, %s, comma, %s. And what does that information represent? That information represents list at position x dot first, list at position x dot last, list at position x dot birthday, comma, list at position x dot birth month, list at position x dot birth year, comma, list at position x dot position 1, and comma, list at position x dot position 2. So this would write the information that we need to the file line by line. Okay? But I want to show you all what happens here. We have to modify this in a way just now to allow it to be able to write multiple lines. But remember, we don't want a \n on the last line. So this will work as this is the first line, this will work as this is the first line, but it might not work going forward. But let's think about that when we get to it. Okay? So as it is now, inside of here, SBA members.txt, right? I'm going to delete it because we want to create the file for the first person. Okay? This is supposed to be, sorry, a Y. Yeah. And we have to put FP here. And we always remember to F close what we F open. So F close FP. Okay? And we have no errors. One, we want to add a member. The file does not exist. Do you want to create it? Yes. So enter the member's first name, right? Jane, right? Ali, the 14/6/1999. Oh, so we have something going on here that messing up our read. So let's go back to where I have my date of birth being entered. And my date of birth, which is a scanf, should have a getcha after it. Can't be making them sloppy mistakes, Mr. Valdez. You're teaching the children on a recording. So we want to add a member. All right, Jane, Ali, the 14th, 6, 1999. All right, we have a forward and we have a attacking midfielder. Okay. Exit. Let's go to our file and see if this was, sorry, this is not the right file. SBA member.txt. It was written here. Now, if I see an extra SBA members.txt here, what's going on with this? Why do I have two files? All right. This is strange. It write the file twice. All right. I'm seeing the information written to my file, but I'm seeing the information written to my a file written twice. So I am worried in terms of this. This should not have gone. SBA members.txtw, F close FP. FP is equal to F open here, right? And this F open here and this F open here would apply to this F close. Huh?
Did you delete the file when you had run it the first time?
I'm not
When you
sure.
had, or you checked for the mistake?
I don't know, but it should have overwrite. To me, it looked like two files with the exact same name, which should not happen. I'm going to try it again. We don't have it inside here, right? Add a member, right? The file does not exist. Do you want to create it? Yes. Let me see what happened there. Here we have SBA members. It's 0 because I haven't written any information to it as yet. Okay. Let's enter Shania James, the 13th of the 2nd, 2001. All right, goalkeeper and left back. Yeah, I'm just trying to see. I don't want you open large. I just want you open enough to be able to see what's going on there. All right, enter. Oh, SBA member versus SBA members. So somewhere I have the file name written incorrectly, which is here. So I wrote the file name incorrectly. It's SBA member, members, not member. Okay, so don't get caught up like me with that. Right? So I had member here instead of members. Let's hold 1 second, please. Okay, so one more test to make sure that everything is right with the world with the file, right? Add a member. The file does not exist. Yes. Enter the member first name. Um, uh, Fallon Harris, 3rd of the 12th, 2002. Right? Center back, defensive midfielder. If we have Valdez underscore C folder, we have SBA members, and we have Fallon Harris inside there. Now, what happens if we want to add another member? Right? Let's press 1. You see, it didn't ask us if, to create the file because the file already exists. Right? But let's see what happens when we enter somebody. Rare Ali, the 14th of the 3rd, 2000. Right? Center back. Right. Let's check what is inside of the file. It added it, but what do we need here? What do we need inside of here? And this is the last thing that we're probably going to be able to do for today. But we made a whole lot of progress today. Right? We need a \n inside of there, but do we need a \n here? Where I am at now? No. So we have to come up with some structure to put a \n here only on every line except the last line, because we can't just put a \n here. That will cause problems when we have to read the file. Okay? So again, I'm going back to my notepad and think about it like this, right? If it is that I have the information inside of my struct, and I have, let's say I have 4 people, and I added one more person, and I want to write this information to the file. Okay, I'm putting this person with a \n, right? I'm putting this person in the file with a \n. I'm putting this person in the file with a \n. I'm putting this person in the file with a \n. But this person here, should I put them with a \n? No. What do I have that indicates the position of this person? I have list underscore I. So this would be 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so in this case, list underscore I, because this is the last person, list underscore I is always represents the amount of people inside of there. That's the rule I set for myself, because look at what I did when I added the person. Once I added the person, I carried list underscore I up by 1. Okay? So let me just do something. I am going to manually, keep opening the wrong file. I'm going to manually put this person down on the next line here. So this should be list underscore I1, 0, position 0. This should be list underscore I, position 1. So the next person that I add should be list underscore I at position 2, which if that X value is the same as list underscore I minus 1, I do not want a \n written there. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say if list underscore I minus 1 is equal to X, sorry, not equal, but unequal to X, right? Then I want to printf into FP a \n. You understand what I do there? I said for every line, but the last one, so for every position in the list struct array, but the last position, write a \n into the file. So now let's see if this little change in terms of code here is going to allow me, if this little change in terms of code is going to allow me to add a person into this file and have the cursor right at the end here as it should be. Okay? So add a member, right? Sherry Simmons, 4th of the 6th, 2002, right? Striker and right back. And let's see now if when I go to my file, oh, Sherry Simmons is the only person that got written to that file. Why is that? Ooh, I could tell you why is that. Sorry, yes, and that's because I'm missing something. The reason for that was that I in my read file, I did not read the contents of the file into the struct array. So according to this file, Sherry Simmons is the only person who should be written into the file. All right. So let me do this section here. All right. So I lose my other 2 people who I had inside of there, but I have Cherry into the array. And what I want to do now is that I want to focus on reading into my member list struct array, right? And I'm going to be using list I to read them in as well. Okay. So if the file was not newly created, I want to read everybody. Read. I just had it here, right? Read the contents of the file into my struct array. So I'm going to say while in equal to file and the file for FP, what do I want to do? I want to read the contents of this file. How am I going to read the contents of this file? And this is the last thing that we'll do because we only have about 10 more minutes. While in equal to file and the file FP, right? Well, I'm going to need a line, right? And about 100 characters. And I can use my fgets to read line 100 from FP. So read a line of text from the file. So that line that I just entered there, inside here, this should be read from the file. But that's a whole line. I need to break this up. To break it up, I could use some tokens. So I could create my token pointer, right? And with that being said, I need to include string.h. Include string.h. Okay? So now when I want to read from the file, I get this line and then I say token is equal to strtok line, comma, and what is separating everything in my file? A comma. So a comma is my delimiter to separate everybody's information. So this first token, I should strcpy into line at position line underscore, is it line underscore I? Not line underscore I, sorry, list at position list underscore I, right? And what am I dot first? And I'm copying my token into there. So get the first name as a token from the line read and copy it into the struct struct array position, right? Copy it into the struct array position in the first name section. Copy it into the struct array position in the first name section. And we'll continue to tokenize. So we'll say token is equal to str_tok. But if we continue in with tokens, we don't put back the name of the variable there. We put null there. We put null there, and we put a comma here, right? And again, you have to do your string copy. I'm just going to copy and paste because I'm lazy, right? But this time it has to go into dot last. If I'm saving the date of birth, right? Now look at the contents of the file, right? The date of birth is split into 3 sections separated by this slash here. So the date of birth is 4/6/2002, but then we'll have to further tokenize this into day, month, and year, right? So how am I going to get that? I'm going to have to say first token is equal to strtok null, comma, right? So this was to get the last name, right? This is to get the date of birth. But the date of birth is going to be separated by a slash. So further tokenization is needed. All right. So what do? We have to tokenize the token, right? We have to tokenize the token. So if we tokenize in the token, it means that we'll have to say token is equal to, not token, we can't use token, right? Token 2, right? So we'll say token 2 is equal to strtok token I'm just thinking something through here, right? Let me put this into token 2, and then afterwards I will tokenize what's in token 2. And I'll explain to you all why, because I don't want to call string token for token 2 and then have to come back to string token for token. So we save the date of birth into token 2 and finish this list of tokenization. So we'll come back to token 2 and deconstruct token 2 afterwards, right? Because if I use string token null again, it's going to always it's going to move away from referencing line and reference token 2. So I will finish tokenizing what is inside of line, and then I will go on and tokenize what's in token 2, right? This is done after we finish tokenize the other data, okay? And we're doing this to just prevent confusion in terms of what we're tokenizing. So again, we'll say token is equal to strtok null, comma, right? This one will get the position 1 from the line, right? from the line of text, and we will strcpy. So we'll string copy that into list at position list underscore I, list underscore I, and we're taking that from token. So this copies the position 1, and then we do the same for position 2. All right, get the position 2 from the line of text. All right, so we have token is equal to string tok null at position 2. Right, we copying it into position 2. Now we want to go back and deal with the data that was here. So we pull this out. This line 100 and sorry. Line 111 got the whole line of text. Line 112 tokenized the name Cherry and stored Cherry into the first position in the first name slot. Right? Line 114 and 113 got Simmons. Right? Line 116 got this. The date, but they put that into token 2 so that we could deal with that after. And line 118 and 19 dealt with the position 1, and line 120 and line 121 dealt with position 2. Now we're going back to break up this token into the day, the month, and the year, right? So now we will save the date of birth from token 2. Okay, so we could say now token is equal to strtok, and you're tokenizing token 2 according to the slash. Right? We tokenize, we breaking up token 2 according to the slash. So this will get the day and store it into token, right? How do I get it into to list at list I, right? List at list underscore I dot birth underscore day is equal to, right? And you have to use the function A to F. A to F is a function that will convert a string to a string to not A to F, sorry, A to I, a string to an integer, right? And so we put in the integer here and we convert token, this token that we just stored the first part of what was in token 2, right? And we store that into the day. And now we continue in like manner. We say token is equal to strtok. strtok. We continue on with null, but we continue on with the slash, right? And this, of course, will now give us the month, right? So we get the month, and lastly, we will get the year. And this has to go into dot b underscore month, and this one will go into dot b underscore year. And so now we have stored all of this information inside of here, right? Let's see if it and of course lastly what you want to do is you want to say list at underscore I plus plus, right? Carry up to be able to save in the next available string. struct array position. Okay, so we do this. We have one member inside of here, and hopefully this will work. If it might not work, we might have to troubleshoot a bit, but let's see if it works. So let's see if we can add a member. Please enter the member's first name. Jane Ali 5/8/2003. Right. Right back and left back. 5, exit goodbye. And let's check our file here. And we have Jane Ali stored inside here. And Cherry Simmons was written back to the file as she should have been. Right, so let's try with one more person, add another member, enter the member's first name, Greer Simmons, right, 16th of the 7th slash 1999, right, so left midfield or left winger. Wilders underscore C, SBA members. Okay, so for some reason, we end up with an error that put us with a space there. But maybe we could address that in the next class. All right. Does anybody have any questions? I'm gonna stop recording here. I'm gonna address any questions or comments or anything. Anybody have any questions that you don't mind getting on the recording before I stop, or? Okay, so I'm gonna pause the recording here.